Hey you guys, this is Jess with Sourceful Journey, back with another video. So, actually, from sweets. Try to pull back from eating so many sweets. So yeah, I gotta sit because of it. Once it bursted so bad, but I'm like, no, I'm just gonna let it just fade away. But enough of that. In case you guys are wondering, that's why I'm pointing it out. It's just a little set from eating sweets. I have a sweet tooth like no other. Okay, but on a more serious note, I wanted to do a quick story time with you guys. Just really focusing on the notion of how God and his team, being a team of angels, will always forever be around all of us. Even for some of those who may have lost faith, even for some of those who may have grown up in a household where there was no faith in terms of God and God, source, things of that nature. Even with that still being the case, God is still and forever will be present, just as well as his team of angels. Just the spirit realm in general will forever be present. I want to give you guys a quick story time of an event that I went through. It was in reference to a surgery that I actually had. And yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right in here. So, story time. Okay, so it was a little bit over a year and a half ago. I went in for a very serious surgery that needed to be done. It was very serious to the point where it could have either been a point where either I was going to continue to live or, pass on, death. Looking back at it, the experiences that I've encountered along that journey, preparing for it, it's something that I'll never forget. I remember being so nervous about it because of the fact that I've never had a surgery before. This was truly, in fact, my very first surgery. And to know it was for something that was very serious was enough to alarm anyone, especially if you were going under the knife for the first time. So I remember, being so grateful that, that I could get through the process. But at the same time, I remember being scared, like not really having anyone I could talk to or confide in that I felt would truly understand it. So this is where you have to go within, and then of course you have to really have that talk with God. Your faith is usually tested like no other, especially when we're talking about life or death. You feel alone sometimes, even though you might have a lot of people around you, family, friends at the time, you name it. Significant other at the time as well. Let me not forget to throw that in as well, but that individual is now the ex, that too. I remember I was going to our local park quite often at the time when I was preparing to go in for the surgery, just really walking around and having that talk with God. I remember I had moments as I was walking, I wanted to cry, but have you guys ever encountered moments where you want to cry, but for some reason the tears don't fall? That happened. Something wouldn't allow me to allow a tear to drop for some reason. I think that's when my faith was being tested, but then that's when my faith had truly leveled up like no other. So I remember, sometimes talking internally, or maybe might speak a little bit aloud, but not too loud as I'm walking, because you want people to think that you're cuckoo or whatever. I remember having conversations with my mom. You guys, if you remember, I mentioned my mom had passed in January of 2020. And, even with that being the case, I always still felt that she was around. She was near. So I still have those conversations with her even today, present day. Because being in this space and being of knowing, you do understand that even though our loved ones have moved on and they're not in the physical vessel anymore, doesn't mean the spiritual is not around. I think we all know that now, right? I'm hoping that people are starting to realize that our loved ones, they may have left the physical vessel, the flesh, but spiritually speaking, they are still present for good reasons. Please do understand that. So I say all this to say, I remember one day as I was walking around at the park, I remember expressing to my mom like how scared I was. I'm like, Mom, this is like, it's gonna be my first surgery. Like, I'm freaking out. Like, what if something goes wrong? So your mind starts, questioning all this stuff. Like, what if? You hear the horror stories where people went under the knife and never woke up, or, they went under the knife and the doctor made a misstep. And I'm just praying to God, like, please don't let any of that happen to me. And I'm praying to my mom as well, like, Mom, if you're hearing this. And at that time, I don't think I was really aware, or I felt like I was aware, but not as strongly aware for sure. When I was praying and talking to her, I'm like, please show me signs that you're there. And I journaled a lot of the stuff that took place. And actually, I keep a journal of quite a bit of the experiences I've had, but this one in particular, I definitely made sure I wrote in my book. So to fast forward, the actual day of surgery, my youngest brother, he drove me to the hospital. As we were driving along, I'm being hit with so many signs and synchronicities along the way. It's not even funny, you guys. 5:15 as I'm saying this. And I'm thinking, I don't know if that might have been one of the numbers I saw. Now that I think about it, I think it was either that. I know I saw 534. I saw 88 a lot, and there's so many other ones. I can't recall, but it's in my book. I wrote them down for sure. 534 as I'm saying this. That's funny. Literally just saw 534. So, I'm thinking as we're riding along to the hospital, I'm just praying that everything goes well, and I'm talking to my mom internally because my brother's in the car. I want him hearing me. Like, Mom, please show me that you're there. Let me know that you're there, and I'm not gonna be there by myself. I'm like literally freaking out at this point. So as we get there, go through the process of checking in, putting on the robe. Now I'm on the bed, and I remember, I guess there was this code name I had to give, or some type of code name for my brother. I guess if he were to like leave the building and come back, he would need to say it to be let back in or something. I don't know, I forgot what it was for. I wrote it in my book, but I don't remember like right now. All I know is that what was so interesting about that day, because now I think about it, the surgery itself was August 18th. Now, initially prior to me setting up the appointment for this surgery, it was going to be scheduled for another day, an earlier date. But then something went wrong where I think the nurse had to call me back. And she's like, oh no, she said we can't do that, but we can set it up for August 18th, 818. It's like, okay. I see that number quite often on my end. I'm not sure about you guys, but I do see that. So that was a huge sign for me right there. And so when the day arrived, and we made it to the hospital, and now I'm on the table, and they're putting me under. I went under. And that was the first time I ever went under in terms of for surgery reasons. Now, I remember waking up from the surgery, not really feeling too sore, which I think is the part that kind of scared them a bit because they didn't understand. I still don't understand to this day how, with me, my body reacts differently when it comes to pain. It doesn't really affect it much in terms of soreness, things like that, which I got another story about that too. A similar scenario happened. We'll talk about it in another video. But fast forward, so the nurse that was in the room with me when I woke up, she came in and introduced herself, and she gave me her name. It was a very nice, old Caucasian lady, very sweet. Like, she's like, "Hi, I'll be working with you. My name is," and she gave me her name. I remember I was laying there. I had to open my eyes. My eyes were like slightly open, but they really opened up when I heard the name. I said, "I'm sorry, what is your name?" And she told me her name. She's like, "My name is Betty." I literally, I get tongue-tied even thinking about this because I still can't believe it to this day. See, what you guys don't know, my mom that passed away 2 years ago, her name was Betty. I couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it to this day. Because if you guys think back to what I just said a moment ago, when I was in the car riding to the hospital, even those times when I was walking around in the park prior to the day of the surgery, I was asking my mom to show me signs, send me signs that you're there, that you were there. I took that personally as a sign for me to let me know she was there. Like, what are the chances of that, of not only having my appointment moved to a particular date, that is a number that I witness quite often in my day-to-day existence up until that point. Even now, I still see 818 a lot too. But to actually, just out of nowhere, just randomly, to have a different nurse show up into my room who happens to have the same name that my late mother had. My God, I still can't believe it, just even thinking about it right now, 10/10 as I'm saying this. For people to even say that the spiritual realm is not what it's cracked up to be. For people to say that it's all an illusion. Once our loved ones have passed on, they're gone forever. Honey, if you just don't slow down enough to pay close attention to your surroundings, you're gonna miss it. I guarantee you. Coming for someone on this end who was all about moving quick in terms of life, in terms of her work and everything in her everyday existence. The fact that that was the year I took time to slow down and really pay attention to my surroundings and life in general. If people did that, you will notice a lot of things that would just pass right by you just because you haven't slowed down a bit. They are always forever with us and there to support us, even beyond the vessel. 11:11, as I said that. Talk about a moment of where I wanted to cry like no other. Not cry tears of sadness, but more tears of joy, because my mom truly followed through on making it clear to me that her presence was there. That is enough to send chills down a person's spine like no other, and it's something that I will truly never forget. So I started paying more close attention to any signs and synchronicities that I see in my day-to-day, and again, the visions, dreams, I pay attention to those quite heavily too, because those of us who know our passed on loved ones do visit us in our dream state as well. And it's for a reason. Usually it's just to give you a heads up about something, or just to simply pop in, let you know, hey, I'm still here, I'm still around. I say all that to say, it was a good experience when it was all said and done. I remember that evening feeling ready enough to head home. I wanted to get to my own bed. The nurse was trying to keep me there longer. And of course, I personally feel the reason why they do that is because, let's be honest, the hospitals get paid more when you stay longer. I think we all know that, right? You can't be naive to the point of not being able to pick up on that. We know what's going on when it comes to those hospital bills and such. I, for one, was not for it. I knew my stuff was covered, but at the same time, I just wanted my own bed. I really didn't care about anything else at that point, so I wanted to go home. So the first nurse kind of gave me some pushback on it. All I could think was, Houston, we have a problem, because I'm going home. So to make a long story short, they did let me go. Betty, the nurse, she was offering to push me in a wheelchair out to the car. Now, I didn't need it. I think she was kind of surprised by that. She looked at me so perplexed. Like, you're standing and you just went through that surgery? And because I guess the side effects, I guess most people feel like, is that you become very weak from a surgery of that nature. I'm thinking to myself, I didn't see it as peculiar. I'm like, why are you looking at me? I'm thinking to myself, I didn't say it, but I'm like, why is she looking at me like I'm odd just because I'm able to stand up on my own 2 feet and walk? I'm guessing because it's just the fact that I just got out of surgery and the surgery I had to take on. I guess most people aren't able to do that. I don't know, but that's the impression I got from it. And besides, another reason why too is because the type of heart I have, not only the heart as far as having a heart of a lion, just being able to stand on my own 2 feet, 10 toes down, but at the same time, just having a heart of saying to myself, like, this is a very small, elderly nurse. I just didn't feel right within my spirit to even have someone of her stature compared to mine pushing me in a wheelchair to the car. I just felt like, and I think to myself when she offered it, I was like, bless you for doing that. But I said, no, I'll be fine. I said, you can just direct me to where to get to my car, so my brother could take me home. But I was just told her, bless you. And we just left it at that. And she was such a sweet spirit, such a sweet soul. I think about her now and again. Like, I wonder if Betty's still up there. Maybe she was just up there for that moment. Who knows? But I was able to get to the car and made it home. As I was riding home in the car with my brother, he thought I was completely nuts. He's like, you should have stayed overnight. What are you doing? I said, I don't want to. I want my own bed. And I couldn't help but laugh because I could think back to the times when my mom was in the hospital when she had her visits and she had to stay in the hospital for maybe a few days on end. She was the same way. She could not stand sleeping in them hospital beds. She was like, I want to get in my own bed. I want to go home. So it's kind of funny because I feel like in some way that part of her kind of like carried over into myself because I didn't like being in them hospital beds and I wanted my own bed too. So it's just funny how those type of things carry over. And I think at that point, as we were riding home, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I could see why she was like that because I'm the same way. I want my own bed. So made it home. I already had the appropriate pillows. I bought like maybe 4 or 6 pillows because I knew the surgery, I needed to make sure I was really comfortable. So I thought I didn't need all those pillows. I got a huge wedge pillow too, just to kind of position my legs a certain way. I used that once in a while. Really didn't need to, but I did it just in case measures before the surgery. So to make a long story short, I got home. As time progressed onward, I healed just fine. Actually, probably healed pretty quick. I was moving around, taking care of things, like such as taking a shower. I think they said that you would need someone to support you as you were showering. I didn't need that. And I refused to subject my family to that, like my brothers and things. I refused, to have people come over just to help me shower. No, I was doing it myself. And I did just that by myself. I was praying like, God, just don't let me fall. Don't let me slip and fall. When I'm just in my unit, in my space by myself at the time, I'm just like, because if I slip and fall, I had no one else around me. But God definitely made sure that it didn't happen. The angel team definitely made sure it didn't happen. So that's when my faith, I felt like, in a sense, my faith has always been strong in the Lord. It's always been strong in the Lord and the angel team, but I felt like it really intensified like no other as time progressed onward in terms of my adult years. Because when you're really out there, you're really, truly are alone in terms of other vessels. When you're truly alone and you really are seeking God and building that strong connection with God, with Source, you realize you are really not alone as you think you are. I think it's all about perception. Just because you don't have others in the physical form around you doesn't mean that you're alone. You still have that spiritual support around you. Don't forget that. Okay, so that was all for today's video. I want to know you guys' thoughts. Think of a time where you felt like your faith was truly being tested, and maybe you asked for a sign from God, source, or maybe you asked for a sign from like a passed on loved one to let you know, like, hey, just let me know that you're still around, that you're here when this is getting ready to happen. And you got that sign. What was that like for you? As I mentioned, you guys, I'm kind of giving you this story kind of like off the top of my head, but I know the details of what happened and what other pieces tied into it. I actually wrote it down at the time that all of this transpired in my book. So I only gave you guys more of a vague approach because I was trying to like not make this video too long, but yeah, I mean, other than that, you guys pretty much got the gist of what happened, and it was just simply an experience that I will never forget. Again, I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts. Definitely don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. You can also leave messages for me on the site here in the comment section below. Also Instagram, Snapchat. You guys are really good with those other outlets to keep that going. And emails. Can't say it enough. The emails, I love that too. As for this week, I have several spots available in reference to tomorrow and Friday. Other than that, if you haven't done so already and it's something you're considering, don't hesitate to look into my calendar if you're looking to take on a consultation with me. And other than that, in the meantime, you guys, I'm definitely sending you with love and light, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, you guys.